Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If you are brand new to my channel, yay, you found me. Finally, I've been waiting for you. And if you're a returning subscriber, yay, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And as you know, I always reply to every comment that you write. I love hearing from you, so comment down below. So the movie that I'm reviewing today is called Suncoast. This coming of age dramedy is now available in select theaters and on Hulu. The film is rated R for content. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. It's an hour and 49 minutes, but my overall movie review mom grade is an A. I really enjoyed this and thought it was very well done. So let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like if you like this one. Ready to dive in? Me too. All right, so in a nutshell, the movie is inspired by the writer and director, it's the same person, own experience from the early 2000s. Her name is Laura Chin. The story is about a teenage girl who lives with her strong-willed mother who has to take her brother to a hospice facility as he dies of brain cancer. She strikes up an unlikely friendship with an eccentric activist during one of the most controversial medical cases in real life, Terry Schiavo. So let me give you some tips for parents. I think kids are going to be bored, first of all. A woman flips the bird. There is some profanity, including F-bombs. Teenagers drink alcohol and get drunk. We see teenagers pop pills, although we don't know exactly what those pills are. And some of the teenagers say extremely crude and inappropriate things. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are parenting, the value of life, grief, religion, caregivers, peer pressure, kindness to others, and friendship. So there were a lot of things I really liked, obviously, about this film. First of all, the cast is terrific and includes Laura Linney, Woody Harrelson, Matt Walsh, and Nico Parker. They do a really great job blending drama with comedy. And Laura Linney's performance is absolutely stellar as the crazed, protective mother. As a mother, I can kind of relate to that feeling of being out of control because you can't have control over your child's safety or health or protection and that kind of thing. We're able to identify the time period that the story takes place due to various clues like magazine covers, conversations, current events, clothing, and the real Terry Schiavo case that occurred in Florida in real life. We see the protesters at the hospice calling her husband a monster for giving up and demanding that his wife be force-fed to stay alive. In one scene, the teenage protagonist is asked about her opinion on the issue, and she explained that we never really can know which decision is best for Terry Schiavo or anybody else in that situation because we're simply not in her or their situation. We're not in the husband's shoes. We don't know what it's really like. And sadly, we're often too quick to judge other people's choices without really knowing all of the delicate details. And judging others is not helpful. Supporting others as they go through very difficult and demanding situations in life is. So I loved that lesson, that big theme for the movie. I loved it when there's a grief counselor and she said, "I'm so sorry you're going through this." Now that seems like such a simple, obvious thing to say, but it's surprising how rarely people say that to one another. Last year, as you subscribers know, I lost 3 of my parents in 3 months. We were shocked. And when we called the various funeral homes to help us in the end, not a single person said to us, "I am so sorry you had to make this phone call today," right? To them, death is just an everyday experience, and it's their bread and butter, it's their business. And so I think that they almost forget what it feels like. But most people will only experience it a few times in their lives, especially making that phone call to a funeral home. So why aren't the phone operators or the receptionists or whoever it is that's answering the phones at funeral homes not better trained to simply say, I'm so sorry you had to call us today? And so we kind of get that feeling from what's taking place in this story. People are quick to judge and quick to not reach out and offer help, but to give their opinion on it and demand the actions that they think are correct. Now, we also get to see how people grieve differently in the movie. There's no wrong or right way. We all just have to get through it as best as we possibly can and learn from it, showing grace and patience to others who mourn differently from us. We see that growth in the characters in the movie, and I loved that. While the movie is about death, there is humor as well as other topics that prevent the film from becoming overly depressing. That's quite an accomplishment, actually. And the movie ends with a positive feeling of hope. The religion that's represented is Christian in the movie, although this does not feel like a typical traditional Christian film. What is shown is how even Christians grapple with their faith while simultaneously looking for answers. And at one point, someone says, quote, I know he's in a better place. I feel it, end quote. And until we can fully understand doctrinal points, I think that your feelings and your hope is a good place to start. And again, we can't judge each other on where we are in our Christian walk, or any walk of faith that we choose. Now, this movie will make you cry. That it's got all the feels. And at the end of the movie, we get to see a picture of the director's brother before he passed away in real life. She dedicated the movie to him, and his name was Max Kenneth Chin. He should be really proud of her for creating such a powerful film. Now, I always write down things I didn't like, and I can only think of one thing because that's how much I really enjoyed this movie. And I really thought it was so powerful and so well done. And that was that it's sad to see vulnerable teenagers get mixed up with the wrong crowd and make terrible mistakes. And we see that as well. So I also, when I take notes of movies, I write down funny lines and interesting lines simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste for the dialogue and the script writing quality. So I'll share some of them with you right now. You can see all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So Christine is the mother, played beautifully by Laura Linney. I just thought, like I said, she was just fantastic. And somebody makes a comment about handsome people, and she just loves her son. She's so protective of her son. And she looks at her son and she says, the handsome ones never stay. And you just feel her love, and you're like, and I'm just getting all like teary-eyed thinking about it. It's such a powerful scene. Now, Woody Harrelson is the movie. He always makes a movie better, in my opinion. I'm such a fan and have been for decades. And he meets this young teenage girl, and they're talking, and he just says, you're so full of bleep. He says crap, except for he doesn't say the word crap. But anyway, he says, you're so full of bleep. I beat my own self. I don't swear. Okay, back to the line. Third time here. He says, you're so full of beep, your eyes are turning brown. And she looks at him and she says, my eyes are brown. They have this very playful, respectful, although guarded relationship, and it develops into a true love for one another. And it is so sweet to behold. And then some interesting lines that I thought were really good was one when Woody Harrelson's character says, every life is precious. Now, he's one of the activists fighting on behalf of this case, this real life case, and how everything needs to be done to keep this woman alive. And he's saying every life is precious. And she's saying that woman is already gone, and so they have a little gentle battle of values in that regard. But they also teach each other certain things about letting go versus persisting and that kind of thing. And then another character named Matt Walsh. Now, this is not the Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire, you know, who does that talk show, who did the movie What is a Woman? It's a totally different actor. But he says, his character says, do we blindly accept the ethics of our government as our own? And I thought that was a really powerful line, especially as we've been pulling out of COVID. I mean, I'm still hearing about cases circulating. It's not over. It will probably never be over. But I think the older generations believed that our government really did have our best interest at heart. And then when COVID happened, and we've got all of these different governmental agencies telling us things that, you know, were possibly very questionable and at worst harmful and deadly, people really started to wake up and question, you know, what's really going on here? Can we trust our government? And not surprisingly, trust in the government, all governments across the world, is at an all-time low anyway. So I thought that that line was interesting. Then another wise line that Woody Harrelson's character said is talking about all of the drama that was going on in the hospice with this Terry Schiavo case, says, this whole thing, life, is a gift. It may not feel like it is, but it is. And I thought that was true. I was going to share one more line, but it's a bit of a spoiler. So if you really must know, you can go over to my website. All right, so I want to share 3 movies that I instantly thought of as I was watching this movie. I want to recommend them in case you've never seen them before. The first one that came to my mind is Meet Joe Black. It's Brad Pitt in his younger, earlier, gorgeous days, and the movie, and it has Anthony Hopkins, who's of course incredible, and it's a really interesting look at life and death. Really well done, a beautiful film and very touching. Another movie, which is a documentary that I recently reviewed, is called After Death. In fact, I'll load that one up to play as soon as you finish watching this one, in case you're curious. It was very well done, and basically, it's a collection of interviews of people who died clinically and came back and had these after death, afterlife experiences. And it's very convincing. If you're not a believer, or maybe you're an agnostic, I think you might be interested in watching that. What happens when we die? And then, of course, everybody has their own opinion about it, but I thought it was really, really well done. And then another movie that I thought of is called P.S. I Love You. Now, that's a little bit of an older one. I think it was in the early 2000s, maybe. And it's about someone who dies but leaves notes behind for the person who now has to live without that loved one. And it's very sweet and very touching and kind of a romance farewell type of movie. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Hopefully my reviews are helpful as you try to decide whether or not you want to spend time or money watching a movie. Have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoy this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.